We generally tell ourselves a very specific lie about building a media company. We tell ourselves it requires charisma.
Right. The assumption is you need a magnetic personality.
Exactly. We assume you need the expensive microphones, a soundproof studio, and the ability to book high-profile guests to make anyone care at all. We treat this entire industry as a talent game.
And that assumption is becoming incredibly expensive.
Hmm.
Because while traditional creators are out there fighting for attention with their personality, there's a quiet industrial scale shift happening in the background.
We aren't talking about creators anymore.
No, we are talking about operators.
And that brings us to the anomaly we are looking at today. Welcome to the Deep Dive. I'm your host, and joined by our expert, we are breaking down a specific case study based on a workflow analysis by the channel Wholesale TED. We are looking at a channel that is currently generating between 3 and 4 million views every single month.
It gained over 1 million subscribers in just 9 months.
9 months. And here's the kicker. There is no human host. There is no microphone. There isn't even a video camera. It is a completely synthetic operation.
It's a ghost ship, and it is a highly profitable one.
Very profitable. We are looking at an English language learning, or ELL, channel that is generating an estimated $30,000 a month. And the entire operation runs on a software stack that costs less than a fancy coffee per day.
So what we are doing today is deconstructing this model. We need to strip away the magic of AI and look at this strictly as a manufacturing process.
Because it is an art.
It's an assembly line, really is.
So let's start with the hard numbers, because I think people hear $30,000 a month and immediately assume it's clickbait. But when you look at the mechanics of the English language learning niche, the math actually holds up.
It does hold up. It all comes down to RPM, revenue per mil, or revenue per 1,000 views. Look, in the entertainment sector, like gaming or pranks, your RPM might be $1 or $2.
If you're lucky.
Right. But this channel is an education. Advertisers pay a premium to reach people who are actively trying to learn a language.
Because those people are likely buying courses or software or booking travel.
Exactly. The source material puts the RPM for this specific niche between $3 and $8.
So if you do the math on that, if you are pulling in 3.8 million views a month, which was this specific anonymous channel achieved recently, and you apply a conservative average RPM.
You are landing somewhere between $11,000 and $31,000 monthly.
And we know they are actually collecting this money. This isn't just a hypothetical spreadsheet projection.
Right. The presence of the super thanks button on the channel is essentially the smoking gun here. YouTube only unlocks that feature for channels that are fully verified and accepted into the YouTube Partner Program.
If you see that button, the ad revenue is flowing.
It's verified.
But the revenue is really only half the equation here. The reason this specific case study is so fascinating isn't just that they make money, it's that they don't spend money. Or at least they don't spend it in the way legacy media does.
It is pure cost arbitrage. That is the entire core of this business model. Think about a legacy production. If you wanted to produce a high-quality conversational podcast for English learners, you need 2 voice actors.
You need clear diction, American accents, professional pacing.
And you are paying those actors anywhere from $500 to $1,000 per episode.
Plus the audio engineer to stitch the whole thing together.
Exactly. Now compare that to the automated model we are analyzing today. The source material highlights a tool called Wondercraft. By leveraging their subscription model, the cost to produce a comparable 12-minute episode drops to approximately $1.59.
$1.59. That's a 99.8% reduction in production cost.
Which means the margin shifts almost entirely to the operator.
Mm-hmm.
You aren't paying for human talent anymore. You are paying for compute. And compute is cheap.
It allows the operator to fail incredibly fast.
You can launch 10 distinct channels for the cost of 1 traditional pilot episode.
Okay, so the economics clearly work, but I want to get into the how, because I think a lot of operators listening to this have tried to use AI tools for media, and the output is, well, it's garbage.
It usually sounds robotic, the scripts are boring.
And nobody watches it. So what is this specific channel doing differently to capture millions of views?
It comes down to the architecture of the workflow. It is not about just opening a window and hitting a create button. It's about managing a chain of specific agents. Phase 1 is the scripting architecture.
The source material specifically mentions using an AI agent within Wondercraft, which is powered by Claude. But it's not as simple as typing "write a podcast."
No, absolutely not. This is where prompt engineering becomes your actual competitive advantage. The source breaks down a very specific prompt structure. First, you have to define the audience. English learners.
Then you define the hosts. In this case, Lauren and Ethan.
And crucially, you have to define the context.
Right. The example given in the breakdown was remarkably specific. The prompt established that they live in San Francisco. It established that Lauren drives a car and Ethan takes public transport. And the topic of the episode was transportation logistics.
That level of detail is exactly what prevents the AI from hallucinating a generic, soulless conversation. By giving the agents conflicting perspectives, the car versus the train, you force a dialectic.
You force a debate.
Yes.
Yeah.
That creates the natural friction that actually holds listener attention.
There's another feature mentioned in the scripting workflow called analyze and expand. This felt like a significant shift in how we actually interact with these language models.
I call this the expansion loop. Usually, you have an AI generate a script, it spits out something that's way too short, and the human has to go in and manually rewrite it to pad the runtime.
Which kills the efficiency.
Right. But the workflow here is different. The AI generates a first draft, say, 8 minutes long. The system then self-analyzes that draft, realizes it is too short for the 10-14-minute algorithmic sweet spot on YouTube, and it recursively expands specific sections to hit that exact target duration.
So the AI is acting as its own structural editor.
Precisely. The human operator's role is reduced to what I call negative selection. You aren't writing anything. You are just skimming and deleting the clunky phrases. You are pruning, not planting.
Let's move to phase 2, the synthetic voice synthesis. Because even if that script is perfectly formatted, if the voices sound like a GPS navigation system from a decade ago, nobody's sticking around for 14 minutes.
This is the hurdle where most aspiring operators fail. They suffer from decision paralysis. The libraries for these audio tools have thousands upon thousands of voices.
So the strategy outlined here seems to be aggressive filtering.
You have to filter strictly by use case. The operator in this case study filters specifically for the podcast style tag and the American accent tag. They selected a female voice named Georgia and a male voice named Alan.
Why those two specifically?
It's not about personal aesthetic preference, it's about raw clarity. Remember the target audience here, English language learning. You aren't trying to sound edgy or cool, you're trying to be perfectly understood.
Which leads into a really critical technical decision regarding the mode of synthesis.
Right, the choice between standard mode and combo mode.
Break that down for us.
It's a nuanced point, but it's vital. Combo mode is an incredibly impressive piece of technology. It blends the audio files so the speakers interrupt each other, they might laugh over each other, they breathe naturally. It sounds like chaotic, real human conversation.
Which, on paper, sounds exactly like what you would want for a podcast.
Usually, yes. If you are doing a sports commentary or pop culture show, absolutely, but not for the specific audience. The operator deliberately chose standard mode.
Why?
Because standard mode keeps the audio clips entirely distinct. There is no overlap. It keeps the pacing slightly slower. It ensures mathematically perfect pronunciation.
So better technology isn't always the right strategic choice.
Exactly. If your audience is actively struggling to understand the English language, natural conversational chaos is a bug. It's not a feature. You want artificial clarity. The operator prioritized pure utility over authenticity.
That is a massive takeaway for anyone building these systems. You have to design for the end user's cognitive load, not just show off what the tech stack can do.
It's all about the end user.
Now, let's talk about phase 3, visual packaging and assembly. Because at the end of the day, this is YouTube, it's a video platform. But we are essentially talking about an audio product.
This is where the model gets incredibly lean. If you look at the top performing videos across this entire niche, they all follow a very rigid visual formula. Static AI background. An animated audiogram that's the little waveform that bounces when people talk.
And large, blocky captions.
Right.
It's almost objectively boring to look at.
It's low motion, yes. But again, for an ELL student, low motion is a feature. It aggressively reduces cognitive load. They don't have to process complex scene changes or B-roll or jump cuts. They can focus entirely on the audio comprehension and the text.
The text formatting seems crucial here. The source material strongly emphasizes using block read captions.
High contrast is non-negotiable. Black background, thick borders around the text. This forces the viewer to keep their eyes glued to the screen to follow the dialogue in real time.
It artificially inflates the retention metrics.
Absolutely. Think about it. If you just had the audio playing with a completely blank screen, people would open a new tab. They'd look away. The block captions tether their attention to the video player.
And what is the production cost for these visuals?
Effectively zero.
Walk us through that, because high-end AI image generation usually costs money.
The workflow hack described in the source is ingenious. It's a platform arbitrage. They use an image generation model called Nano Banana Pro. Usually you would access this via Google's tools or pay for a premium subscription.
But the operator found a loophole to bypass that cost.
Yes. They access the Nano Banana Pro model through Leonardo AI's free tier. On Leonardo, you get 150 free credits a day. Generating a high-end background image with this specific premium model costs 140 credits,
So you get exactly one free high-quality image per day.
which is exactly one deep dive episode per day. It's a perfectly closed loop. You aren't paying a cent per image. You are utilizing the free daily allotment of a separate software ecosystem to entirely feed the visual pipeline of your primary business.
It really is a manufacturing mentality. You have your script supply chain, your audio assembly line, and your packaging department, all that optimized for near zero marginal cost.
And you even have the branding element dialed in. The source mentions spending zero point 0.4 credits, which is literally pennies, to generate a custom AI jingle.
Right, the intro music.
It gives the show a sonic identity. It signals to the listener, this is a professional, established production, even though that intro was generated 10 seconds ago by a server farm.
So we have the system mapped out. We understand the unit economics.
Right.
But I want to zoom out a bit as we wrap this up. Because when you listen to the sample provided in the case study, this Lauren and Ethan discussing San Francisco transit, it's eerily good.
It is.
It's not perfect, but it is good enough to fool a casual listener.
Yeah.
Or at the very least, it's good enough that they just don't care that it's synthetic.
That is the exact threshold we are crossing right now. Good enough that they don't care. What we are witnessing here is the decoupling of personality from personhood.
Unpack that for me.
Traditionally, if you followed a show or a channel, you were forming a parasocial relationship with a real human being. You like their quirks, their specific history, their laugh. In this automated model, the audience is connecting with a totally fabricated dynamic.
Right.
Lauren and Ethan exist solely as data points in a prompt text file. They have no history, they have no physical form, and yet the audience retention metrics and the revenue suggest the connection is real.
It's interesting because the source mentions that Lauren driving and Ethan taking the train isn't just a one-off prompt. That is a permanent character trait programmed into the system. It's exactly like writing a sitcom character Bible.
It is a sitcom, but usually a sitcom costs millions of dollars and a crew of 50 people to produce. This costs $1.59 and takes 10 minutes. We are seeing the sitcomification of basic information.
And the audience, these English learners, they likely know it's AI, right?
Oh, yeah.
Do they?
I suspect the line is completely blurring for the end consumer. The super thanks donations are the proof. It suggests that people value the utility of the content enough to pull out their credit card and pay for it completely, regardless of its origin.
They aren't paying Lauren and Ethan.
No, they are paying for the lesson.
It shifts the entire value proposition of media from who is speaking to what is being said.
Which is a massive threat to creators who rely solely on vibes or personality without delivering hard, measurable utility. Look, if an AI can deliver the language lesson clearly, patiently, and perfectly every single time, the actual human factor might become a distraction for some niches.
It also completely changes the scalability of a media business. If I want to launch a Spanish version of this exact channel tomorrow, I don't need to go out and hire 2 charismatic Spanish hosts. I just change the prompt constraint.
You change the prompt, you select Spanish in the Wondercraft voice filter, and you are live. You can spin up 10 vertical channels in 10 different languages in a single week. This is exactly why I called it a manufacturing process earlier. It is scalable in a way that human-led media fundamentally isn't.
But there has to be a ceiling, right? Eventually, doesn't the platform get flooded with millions of synthetic Laurens and Ethans?
That is the inevitable phase 4 of this cycle. Saturation. Right now, there is a massive arbitrage opportunity because the tools are brand new and most people simply do not know how to prompt them correctly. The wholesale TED case study represents the early adopter phase.
So what happens when everyone figures out this workflow?
Quality becomes the filter again. But quality won't mean having a better microphone. It will mean having better prompts. The operators who understand how to structure a compelling dialectic debate, who understand the nuance of the analyze and expand loop, who know exactly which visual triggers increase viewer retention, They are the ones who will win.
The people just hitting generate on a generic prompt will drown in the noise.
They will disappear completely.
It's a reassuring thought, in a strange way. The physical tool is automated, but the overarching strategy is still deeply human.
For now, yes. But look at the trajectory we are on. The source material highlights that the Analyze and Expand feature already removed the human from the structural editing process. The human operator is moving further and further up the management chain.
So if you are an operator listening to this or a builder looking to create an asset, the lesson here isn't go start a Faceless English learning channel.
No, that's completely the wrong takeaway. The lesson is to look at your entire content production workflow as an industrial system. Where are you spending $500 when you could be spending $1.59? Where are you relying on your own limited time and energy to write scripts when you could be acting as an executive editor for an AI agent?
It's about operational leverage.
Absolute leverage. The operator in this specific case study is competing head-to-head with major venture-backed language learning companies. And they are doing it from a laptop, likely alone, with 0 employees. That is the raw power of the synthetic model.
And it creates a very weird paradox. We have this wholesale TED source material teaching us how to copy a business that is itself just a digital copy of human interaction. We're just stacking layers of simulation.
And yet the cash flow is real. The ad revenue from Google is real. The actual education happening for the viewer is real. We have to get comfortable with the reality that entirely synthetic inputs can produce highly tangible, real-world outputs.
I keep going back to the voice selection, Georgia and Alan. In the source, the creators strongly emphasize filtering specifically for them. It shows that even in a world of theoretically infinite choice, we tend to converge on a few standard ideals.
That's the standard mode effect playing out at scale. We crave consistency. If every single AI channel used a different, wildly unique voice, it would be disorienting for the user. By converging on these pleasant, clear, standard voices, the medium itself becomes invisible.
You stop hearing the artificial intelligence and you start hearing the information.
Exactly. And that is when the technology truly wins, when it disappears into the background.
It's a sobering thought for those of us who talk into microphones for a living.
It forces human creators to up their game. If an AI can do the basics perfectly, humans have to do the extraordinary just to compete.
Before we wrap up today, I want to touch on the super thanks verification detail one more time. It feels like a small technicality, but the operator in use seemed to really latch onto it earlier. Why is that verification so critical to the thesis?
Because there is this persistent myth in the creator economy that YouTube and Google actively penalize AI content. People think, if I use an AI voice, I will get demonetized or shadow banned. The existence of that super thanks button on this specific channel disproves that fear entirely.
So the platform genuinely doesn't care who or what makes the content, as long as people watch it.
The platform only cares about 2 things: retention and advertiser safety. This content is perfectly safe. It's educational, there is 0 swearing, there is no controversy, and the retention is incredibly high because of the visual caption formula. It is the perfect vehicle for advertisers. YouTube has absolutely no incentive to ban it.
In fact, they're building the tools to help you make it. The Gemini integration mentioned in the source material is proof of that.
Exactly. Google is providing the image generation models that feed the YouTube algorithmic beast. They are vertically integrating the entire synthetic supply chain.
So we have a $30,000 monthly revenue stream, a workflow that takes minutes instead of days, and a cost basis that is effectively 0. It really is the ultimate efficiency model.
It is the industrial revolution of digital content.
But it leaves us with a lingering question. We've established that for pure utility, for learning English grammar, for getting a recipe, for figuring out how to fix a car engine, this synthetic model works flawlessly. Authenticity is entirely secondary to clarity.
Yes. For utility, the machine wins.
But where does that leave the human connection? As these systems get better, as combo mode gets less glitchy, and the synthetic voices become capable of genuine emotional nuance.
That is the strategic question every media company needs to be asking right now.
Right. So here's the thought I want to leave you with today. As we flood the digital ecosystem with unlimited, high-utility, perfectly optimized synthetic content, will human content become a luxury good? Will we eventually pay a premium subscription just to know that the voice in our ear actually has a heartbeat? Or will we simply stop caring entirely as long as the information gets the job done?
Looking at the data today, I think we might already know the answer.
Something to think about. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We'll see you next time.